You've probably done this before. You sit down, ready to work on something you actually care about. Maybe it's a personal project. Maybe it's learning a skill you've been excited about for weeks, something that matters to you, something that isn't forced on you by a deadline or a boss. And then you open your phone instead, or you reorganize your desk, or you suddenly remember you need to check your email for the third time in 10 minutes. This isn't about the things you hate doing. This is about the things you want to do, the things that, when you imagine doing them, feel good. And yet, when the moment comes to actually start, you do anything else. Most people call this procrastination. But that word doesn't really fit here, because procrastination usually involves avoiding something unpleasant. This is different. This is avoiding something you genuinely want. And the usual explanations don't work. You're not being lazy. You're not undisciplined. You're actually doing other things, sometimes harder things, just to avoid this one thing that supposedly excites you. So what's actually happening? The problem starts with a misunderstanding about how desire works. We assume that wanting something means we'll naturally move toward it. That excitement equals action. That if we care about something enough, we'll just do it. But research into human motivation shows that wanting something and being able to approach it are two completely different systems in the brain. You can want something desperately and still feel a resistance so strong it's almost physical. And that resistance isn't random. It's often strongest for the things that matter most to you. Here's why. When something matters, the stakes feel higher. Not in an obvious way like a work deadline, but in a personal way. If you fail at something you don't care about, it doesn't say anything about you. You can dismiss it. But if you fail at something you've told yourself is important, something you've attached to your identity or your future, then failure means something different. It means maybe you're not who you thought you were. Studies on self-concept and goal pursuit show that people often avoid starting meaningful tasks because beginning them makes failure possible in a way that just thinking about them doesn't. As long as the project stays in your head, it stays perfect. The moment you start, you're confronted with your actual ability. And that gap between what you imagined and what you can actually produce right now can feel unbearable. So your brain protects you. It creates resistance, not because you're broken, but because it's trying to protect your sense of self from evidence that might contradict it. Let's put this in a real situation. You want to learn guitar. You've watched videos, you've imagined yourself playing, you've even bought a guitar. It's sitting in the corner of your room. Every time you look at it, you feel a small pull. You want to pick it up, but you also feel something else. A heaviness. So instead of practicing, you research better learning methods. You watch one more tutorial. You decide you'll start tomorrow when you have more time. What's happening isn't avoidance of the guitar. It's avoidance of the moment when you have to hear yourself play badly. Because right now, in your head, you're someone who could be good at guitar. The moment you start, you become someone who is currently bad at guitar. And even though you know intellectually that everyone starts badly, emotionally it feels like exposure. Or take another example. You want to write. You've had an idea for months. You tell people about it. You think about it before you fall asleep. But when you sit down to actually write, you check the news. You make tea. You convince yourself you need to outline more first. The idea stays safe in your head. Still brilliant. Still intact. The moment it goes on the page, it becomes real words that you have to judge. And those words will probably disappoint you, at least at first. This is why you avoid the things you want to do. Not because you're scared of failure in general, but because you're scared of failing at something that's supposed to represent you. The things that don't matter can't hurt you. The things that do matter can. Research on psychological safety and performance shows that people are more likely to take action when they feel their self-worth isn't tied to the outcome. But we do the opposite. We take the things we care about most and make them referendums on our worth. We tell ourselves that this project, this skill, this goal is who we really are, and then we wonder why we can't start. There's another layer to this. The things you want to do often don't have external structures. No one is making you do them. There's no deadline, no boss, no punishment for not doing them. And while that sounds like freedom, it also removes the scaffolding that makes action easier. When something is required, you don't have to decide to do it, you just do it. But when something is optional, even if you deeply want it, every single session requires a decision, and decisions require energy. And when you're already tired from the decisions you had to make all day, the idea of making one more, even for something you want, feels impossible. So you default to things that require less decision-making. Scrolling doesn't require a decision. Cleaning your desk doesn't require a decision. These things are easy not because they're pleasant, but because they're automatic. And your brain, when it's tired, will always choose automatic over meaningful. Here's the uncomfortable part. You're not avoiding the task. You're avoiding the feeling the task will create. And that feeling isn't just fear of failure, it's also the discomfort of being a beginner, the frustration of not being good yet, the gap between your taste and your ability, the vulnerability of caring about something and not being able to control the outcome. You're avoiding the emotional experience of doing the thing, not the thing itself. And here's what makes it worse. Every time you avoid it, you reinforce the idea that it's something to be avoided. Your brain learns that this task is a threat, so the resistance gets stronger. The thing you want to do starts to feel like the hardest thing in the world, not because it is, but because you've trained yourself to see it that way. This doesn't mean you're doomed, and it doesn't mean the solution is to just push through or force yourself. That's not what this is about. This is just about seeing the pattern clearly, understanding that the resistance you feel isn't evidence that you don't really want it. It's often evidence that you do. The things that don't matter don't create resistance. They just don't get done, and you don't care. The resistance is proportional to the meaning, and meaning is uncomfortable. None of this is a diagnosis, and none of this is advice about what you should do differently. This is just a description of what's happening. You avoid tasks you want to do because wanting something and doing it are not the same process, because mattering makes things harder, not easier, because your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort, even when that discomfort is part of something you value. You're not broken. The system is just more complicated than you thought.